This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here with your latest Meteo Mundo forecast. Tuesday, January the 16th. Hope you're having a very nice day so far. Coming up, we've got to talk about some cooler weather, trying to make a plunge into portions of our area. Strong winds and high rain chances continuing for the Lesser Antilles. And of course, we'll break down the forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. Thank you so much for liking the video here. We appreciate it to the Meteo Mundo community. Let's take a look at the visible satellite imagery here on this Tuesday. It is another crummy day here in Florida. We've got another front coming in. It's cloudy. We're going to get some wet weather, and then Arctic air, true Arctic air, is plunging in behind this, which is going to impact portions of the Yucatan and the Bahamas and maybe even the northwest sides of the Caribbean as well. We continue to rip in extremely strong easterly winds, and that's bringing a myriad of issues to portions of the Lesser Antilles, especially the Leeward Islands. Rain chances will continue to remain high as well. Just look at the thick cloud coverage here across Florida. Can you believe it? There was actually a little bit of light snow in the panhandle of Florida. I just had to mention that because it's obviously extremely unusual here. But if I put on the composite radar data, I don't know if you're going to actually be able to see it. Yeah, you can actually. I just always love to point out the unusual here. But take a look at this. Near the city of Pensacola, there was actually a little bit of light snow and even some freezing rain. But that is part of the cold air coming in, and that will be a story for us. Now, this rain is beginning to sneak off of the east coast of Florida, and it's going to bring wet weather to the Bahamas. I mentioned this yesterday. All right, we're going to get some rain coming in late tonight and especially on our Wednesday. So that's something that I'm going to be monitoring for us here. But let's get back out to the wide satellite picture, because the first thing I actually want to talk about in general is the wind. It's going to be a big story across a lot of the area. Going to put this into motion over the next 5 days. May take a second for it to fully load, but there's a few things that I want to talk about here. We've got another cold front coming in, again, through the Bahamas, and that will turn the winds out of the north to bring some colder weather there. But I actually want to start with what's happening right now in the Lesser Antilles and especially up in the Leeward Islands. We continue with an extremely strong easterly breeze. These easterlies have been bringing some rain, but have also been bringing some pretty rough surf and sea conditions to places like BVI, Anguilla, Barbuda, and Antigua. Let me real quickly here space these out just a little bit more, then I'm a little bit tighter. But especially over the next couple of days, these pink arrows are representing winds of over 20 knots. And this has been causing some issues. As a matter of fact, right now, as we speak on this Tuesday, small craft advisories are in effect for Antigua, Barbuda, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, Anguilla, and BVI. We're having some seas right now running about 2 to 4 meters or 7 to 13 feet. Okay, very dangerous sea conditions outside for the Leeward Islands and BVI with these brisk east winds at over 20 knots, gusting sometimes over 30 knots. They'll relax later in the week, especially over the weekend, but this small craft advisory goes until Thursday. And on top of that, we actually have a high surf advisory for Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, and the BVI. And they, right now, could potentially see some low-level flooding on the northern and the eastern shorelines because the surf conditions right now are a couple of meters or over 6 feet. This is a serious situation because we continue with these strong easterly winds, and on some of the shallower profile east and northeast coastlines of the islands I just mentioned, there could be some isolated flooding to go along with these strong east winds. So that's a big story in that area. But the winds in general through the Lesser Antilles are quite strong. They're quite strong in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. And that easterly wind just dominates the Caribbean forecast right now. It gets a little bit lighter. And on this map, the colors represent the wind speeds, but also the size of the arrows as well. So I want you to understand that. Notice that the pink and purple arrows are a little bit bigger than the white and the blue arrows. That's another way to indicate just how strong the winds are. So the winds are a little bit lighter and more variable. But you notice at the end of the period here, look at the winds through the Cayman Islands and Jamaica. We start to turn our wind, at least for a time, a little bit out of the north. That's that strong cold front coming in. It's going to bring some cooler weather, especially to the Cayman Islands, especially to the Yucatan. Look at the strong northeast winds here as we get into the weekend. Look what's happening in the Bahamas. That's a strong north wind coming in. Let me loop this up again. Right now, our winds are out of the south. But as we get into the overnight hours, the first front coming in, and then a second, even stronger front, at least wind-wise, will be moving in late in the period. So we have variable winds and weather for the Bahamas and the Northwest Caribbean and the Yucatan, and just a really strong easterly breeze that continues to bring some rain chances to the Lesser Antilles and Puerto Rico as well. So that's the wind story, and it's going to be a big one. Let's look at the temperatures as well here. Now, obviously, the temperatures are not going to change as much deep into the Caribbean. But I'm going to put this into motion over the next 5 days. Might again take a second for the model to pick up on that. As a matter of fact, I think I need to do that. There we go. So again, it's going to take a second for the model. This is a long duration imagery to pick up on the next 5 days. So as we wait for that, again, thank you for liking the video. Thank you for subscribing here at Meteo Mundo. It really helps us out, especially this time of the year. But you can see that plunge of colder air coming in, and there will be some areas that sneak into the 60s. So let's take a look at this. First of all, I want to talk about what's going to be happening by tomorrow morning. And again, I can probe these numbers here, and I did that for the thumbnail, and you can see that. So let me take those numbers off and then come into here, and we'll look at what's happening here in the Bahamas. I need to back this back up to tomorrow morning. So this is tomorrow morning. And look, deep into Florida, we're going to get some freezing conditions here, or close. As you get towards Freeport and Lucaya, right around 70. Nassau, a little bit warmer tomorrow morning. But again, another little push of colder air comes in into Wednesday morning, and it drops even a little bit more. Nothing, outrageous. That's colder air. And then in Cancun, again, it'll be kind of a couple of different fronts coming in to drop it in. Notice when you get to these right here, that's some hotter weather that'll warm up inland, but it's all inland. If you live along the coast, or maybe you're visiting Cancun or Cozumel, it's going to be certainly cooler than that. We'll have some mornings that'll sneak into the upper 60s to right around 70 degrees. It's not outrageous, but again, certainly some cooler air. Same thing in Puerto Rico as well, especially some of the inland areas. I'm gonna let this model run one more time. And again, as we pick up that north wind, as we get into the morning hours here, there will be the opportunity, let me see if I can query this again real quick. There'll be the opportunity for a couple of spots, when I was kind of looking at this earlier, to sneak into the 60s, at least for a time. It's not gonna be anything too significant here, but as I was kind of querying, you saw a couple of 60s there inland. Again, it's refreshing. It's nothing cold, but I remember back when we were tracking hurricanes, someone told me 80 degrees was too chilly. So it's all relative, isn't it? All right, so you get the idea that the winds are turning out of the northwest, bringing this cold front in. Let's take a look at the actual rain out of this. So again, we'll loop this up over the next several days. I think this loop is basically ready to go. I remind you that it's mid-January, and I remind you of that because, again, we're going to continue to see very fresh rain. Now, before we get into this fully, I do want to talk about how the winds are going to be impacting the marine forecast. I already mentioned what's happening in the Leeward Islands. For Grand Bahama, again, we're going to be watching that front coming in, and that will turn our winds out of the northeast for your Wednesday. Seas running around 3 to 5 feet. The winds will relax on Thursday out of the east at 8 to 12. So boating will get better later Wednesday and on Thursday. But again, another front with stronger winds late Friday and into the weekend that I'll be monitoring, which will once again kick up dangerous sea conditions, especially on the northern and the eastern sides of the islands and the open waters of the Atlantic. Speaking of the open waters, it's the same situation for my friends in San Juan. Near shore, we're okay, but you go offshore, and just like they're seeing in the BVI area in Anguilla and Antigua and Barbuda, you're going to see some seas building to close to double digits in wave heights. Near shore, we're okay. East winds at 10 to 15, seas 3 to 5. Thursday, northeast winds at 10 to 20, seas actually building a bit at 3 to 6. And again, that's near shore. We dig into the offshore waters there north of the island, and those sea conditions become much more dangerous in a hurry. Okay, back to the rain. And again, we're just going to continue to see waves of showers coming in with this easterly breeze. I mentioned it in the forecast video yesterday where there'll be that opportunity. And I thank you so much for your comments, by the way, letting me know what you've been seeing. Again, someone in Barbados said, look, we've had sunny conditions, but also passing showers. That's exactly what I'm forecasting. There'll be periods of sunshine, there'll be breezy conditions, and then that breeze will bring in some passing showers. Generally speaking, it's not going to be very heavy rain, but again, for January to be talking about maybe getting rain in your area 3 out of the next 5 days, maybe even 4 or 5 of the next 5 days, it's exceptionally unusual. Trinidad and Tobago, you're in on that as well. My friends in Grenada will swing on out towards St. Vincent, the Grenadines, and Barbados. And again, easterly breeze continues, pulling in the moisture, the scattered opportunity for showers in that area right through the next 5 days. Again, we'll look at the totals coming up. They're not going to be extremely significant, but they'll be higher, especially on the eastern facing areas of the islands as well, for St. Lucia and Martinique and Dominica, up towards my friends in Guadeloupe and Montserrat, Antigua, Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis. We already talked about the winds and the waves there and the problems that that's creating. But again, not completely dry as well. It's not going to be a washout if you're visiting this area, you want to do some outdoor activities. But again, for January, we continue to get some showers there. It'll become a little bit more sparse as you get towards Road Town and St. Thomas and St. Croix and the eastern islands of Puerto Rico, but there's our friends in St. Croix and the Road Town, St. John, St. Thomas areas. And again, scattered rain there, but again, not as significant or persistent as what they're going to see in the Lesser Antilles. Light scattered showers will continue for Puerto Rico. We'll zoom it out a little bit. Again, I already mentioned in yesterday's video that for the Dominican Republic side of Hispaniola, some scattered showers from Punta Cana to Santo Domingo, relatively dry in Haiti. ABC Islands, again, opportunity for a couple of showers there, but generally a drier forecast, not completely dry. Now, again, I don't expect a lot of rain in Jamaica. Someone in yesterday's video commented that they had some rain in the interior section of Jamaica. That's great because overall, I just don't expect there to be a lot of rain, but let me know. Drop it in the comments section below if you've been seeing at least a few showers. That's about as good as we can get. And I would still favor the western higher areas as we get that easterly breeze to lift that moisture just a little bit. So from Mandeville and Maypen to the Westmoreland Parish and Montego Bay and Negril, slightly better chance for some rain. We could still see some coastal showers for Port Antonio, maybe towards Kingston and Port Moore and Spanish Town. But again, not a great chance. With the cooler weather in Cancun and Cozumel, here comes that front, here comes some rain. It'll be a little bit higher chance for those areas and then into the Cayman Islands. Let's see, it went a little bit too far, didn't I? Sometimes this mouse likes to have a mind of its own. But you can see that for Georgetown and West End, you know, they're not far away from Jamaica, but just a little bit better chance, a little bit more moisture available there. And then I did also want to mention my friends in Central America because we will get some showers coming in with the easterly breeze. I already mentioned yesterday Honduras and the coastlines of Guatemala and Belize, but late in the period here with that more significant front by the end of the week and into the weekend, there'll be more rain overall. So that's something I'll be monitoring for Central America. Nice little slug of moisture moving down into Mexico, and there will be more rain for the Bahamas with this next front as well. So we'll have the scattered showers tonight, and then that rain moving in with the secondary front. So 2 more fronts coming in for my friends in the Bahamas over the next 5 days. We'll swing over here and take a look at the reflectivity here on our high resolution imagery. Throw that into motion. And again, the timing remains about the same compared to yesterday. We might see a few more showers up in Walker's Key and Grand Bahama just after sunset, but the timing is still going to be tonight, overnight, and then through our Wednesday with these showers kind of beginning to meander to the east. Now, they'll have a decent forward speed later in the period. And again, here's overnight as we get into early on Wednesday morning, even before daybreak. So showers for Nassau and St. Andros and Dunmoretown and Marsh Harbor and Alice-town there in Bimini. Same thing for my friends in Freeport and High Rock and West End. They'll begin to break apart as we go through the day on Wednesday, and then they'll mainly fade away. Now, the interesting thing is we will start to see a southeast wind coming back in later in the period. And that's going to provide a few showers out there for the central and the southeast side of the Bahamas. through the Turks and Caicos as well. All right, let's look at the total rain across the area here. Let's get back out to, what do you say, a broad view. So again, let me switch that back out. And again, I will ask you to like and subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already. Again, it helps you out. You want the forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, we got you covered right here at Meteo Mundo. All right, so let's see here. Total precipitation, that's what I'm looking for. And again, we'll just, we'll pick one time frame here. We'll swing it on out to late, and we'll do the morning of the 21st. That's far enough. It's 5+ days, but you get the idea. And again, this time of the year, to see any purples and pinks on the map is relatively unusual. It shows you rainfall totals that are going to be well over an inch of rain in some spots. We'll highlight again our southern side of the Lesser Antilles, the Windward Islands, from Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Grenada, a couple of spots over an inch of rain. And notice the model is again favoring the eastern portions of the island for the higher rain totals. Everyone will get some rain with that strong easterly breeze, but the higher amounts will mainly be up along the eastern shoreline. Same thing for Guadeloupe and Montserrat and Antigua Barbuda. Again, it's a little bit lower totals here, but I've already mentioned the small craft advisories and the high surf conditions that will come along with the opportunity for rain with the easterlies continuing. Same thing for my friends in Roadtown and St. Thomas, St. Croix. Again, not a lot of rain, but overall we could get a quarter to maybe a ½ inch over the next 5 days. It just becomes a lot more spotty in Jamaica. And again, let me know if you are seeing some showers, but the opportunity to see widespread heavier rain is just not in the forecast for Montego Bay and Negril and Mandeville and Kingston. Again, a little bit higher moisture content as you get towards the Cayman Islands. It's not a lot, but it's a little bit more. And again, the model is a little bit more aggressive late in the period with some heavier rain along the Honduras coastline, including towards Roatan. We'll talk more about that later in the week. This is not coming in the next few days. This is going to be Friday and into the weekend, but Belize City would be included in that. Same thing for St. Pedro Sula. We could, pump in a couple of inches of rain. And the model's aggressive with the rainfall totals overall right along the eastern shoreline of the Yucatan as well. So Cancun and Cozumel is painting more than an inch of rain. And then you get back into the Bahamas. Once again, the heavier rainfall totals are going to be in the open waters of the Western Atlantic. But for my friends in Lucaya and Freeport and West End, again, we're talking about some heavier downpours with the 2 different fronts that are coming in, where we could get the opportunity for more than an inch of rain there. The rain totals become a little bit more spotty in Nassau, down towards Eleuthera and the central and the eastern side of the Bahamas. And then not a lot of rain as you get back down towards the Turks and the Caicos. But get ready for some chillier nights there. Again, there will be some 60s on the way. All right, friends, you can find us through all social media here, not just on YouTube. Would appreciate follows and get the latest updates across all of our social media platforms. We are on Instagram. We are on TikTok. We got an X account as well. You can find us at Facebook at Meteo Mundo. Want to send us a picture or video? Would love to show those on these videos. Let me see what's happening. Even if it's a beauty shot, I'll appreciate it. mymeteomundo@gmail.com is the easiest way to do it. And again, I'd love to hear from you. Drop in the comment section below. You got a question about the forecast. I'm happy to respond to that as well. Thanks again for liking the video. Thanks again for joining us here at Meteo Mundo, and I will see you shortly. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. I'll see you soon.